Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. But I was want to go back into this article right here. There's too much going on in this world. It's off the chain. I was watching but Canada is gonna pretty much cut off, I think the trading aspects with the United States. You got pretty much the to be a trade war. Then you got Trump is saying that he's gonna pretty much turn up in Israel. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, let me get that quote. But I'm gonna get into this Slovakia. Okay, so Trump says issues last warning to Hamas to release all remaining hostages. Or be held to pay. That's the direct quote. So World War III is coming. The MOTB, so on and so forth. So let's get into this article. I did this in a few lessons, but I wanted to go into this article and break it all down. It says right here at the top, and I'm not saying that name Jay. I'm gonna say Yahweh shot a true name, but you know what I'm talking about. It says Yahweh shot and his 12 disciples were all Jewish. Let me make a correction here. This term Jewish is new speak. We never called ourselves Jews or Jewish. The letter J was not invented to 1524. So that means the name J, the JC name is folly. George is folly. Us being the Jews is folly. We the Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites. Yashir Allah in the Hebrew tongue. So all this new speak rather, is all confusion. It says Yahweh Shah and his 12 disciples were all Israelites, not Jewish. Peter, but they use that word Jewish so they can associate with them being the people. So when you see that word Jewish, you can associate that with the people that's in the land right now. That's why they do that. It says Peter, one of the disciples, Catholics, describes as the first pope, which the word pope means father, right? Was Jewish. He was an Israelite, wasn't Jewish. It says the Apostle Paul, who wrote much of the New Testament, was Jewish. He was an Israelite, not Jewish. When it started, Christianity seemed like just another Jewish sect, which that's, again, going back into that confusion. It says similar to the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Essenes, and the Zealots. It says there's a lot of ethnic diversity in Judaism. That's another made up social construct Judaism. The fake Jews, the Jewish people, which are Amalekites, which come from the seed of Edom, Esau Edom, they created this religion called Judaism. They ain't got nothing to do with the Bible. They really believe in the Babylonian Talmud. That's what they practice. They use the Torah or the Thara as a front. It says including Sephardic, Ashkenazi. It says Mizrahi and Ethiopian Jews, so-called. It says, but if you search online for images of Yahweh, most of the results show a so-called white man, and that's true, because Google is in all his cahoots with this system. That's why the books, the literatures, the TV programming, the movies, the media, the newspapers, the billboards, bumper stickers, all in cahoots with this so-called white Jesus. It says, if you want to see Yahweh who looks like a so-called Jewish, black, Asian, or Hispanic. All these words are confusion. These are not real ethnicities. But the people are so dumb, they don't know better. And I'm gonna do a lesson, Lord willing, it's called Beyond Dumb, Beyond Stupid, right? It says you need to include those specific terms in your search. Yeah, so if you type in, the J word, they gonna bring up that so-called white boy, right? So you have to specifically put in Yahweh Shah to get the results of a so-called black man. It says right here, the default is a so-called white J, or right JC, and it is. So when you go to Google, matter of fact, give me 1 second. Yeah, so when you put that name J, that J name there, this what comes up as a default image right here. So let's go to the images. And what does this do psychologically? It plays on the people's minds. It puts them under this spell, this witchcraft. This number one image comes up right here. Let's go back. The so-called white man. You see what it is. Cesare Borgia. So that's the default image when you go look up the Messiah. And the people so dumbed down and stupid, they don't know what's going on. That's why the world is into a sea of confusion. It says, given the Jewishness, which he's an Israelite, the Messiah came from the tribe of Judah. He was a Hebrew Israelite. Of early Christianity, this word Christianity is, in essence, new speak, because we never called ourselves Christians. Christians is that going back into the word Christ. So with Christian is like an compound word. I forgot how they say it, but it's just the word Christ with a I forgot what's the literature called, but yeah, just an extension of the name Christ. When you call yourself a Christian, and we never called ourselves Christians, and when they did call us Christians in the ancient of the terminology, it was an insult. Christianize, I think that's how you say it in the Greek tongue. So this word Christian is a new concept, a new understanding. It's a new philosophy, and that's why you dumb Israelites call yourself Christians. You don't know what's going on. You lost. It says, how did we end up with such a so-called white, non-Jewish so-called J? It says, on my recent trip to the Holy Land, I wanted to learn more. I took a picture of every painting, and I saw JC and the disciples. There were plenty in all Salakia. There were plenty, and in none of those earlier depictions was J portrayed as so-called white. Right here. So let's go here. It says, what struck me during my visit was that in all these church paintings, JC was brown or bronze. You hear this? Because that's how the Israelites, the people out the Bible truly looked. They was brown flesh people for the most. It says, but the depiction of JC I've seen in European museums always show him as a bright white. And then, see, you Jakes don't know how to really get the terminology correct. This screen that you're looking at is white. Edomites don't have this, they flesh is not this color. And you say this because it's all you know. You don't know better. And this Jake called himself educated to put this article together, but there's no such thing as black and white people. And when you look at their flesh, it's like a pinkish reddish, right? It's not white. So let me get back into this. But the depictions of JC I've seen in European museums always show him as bright so-called white, pretty much as an Edomite. That's what he's trying to say, but he's using that term white. It says not antique, ivory, eggshell, or off-white, but the color of white milk, which he going off. They're not the color of no white milk. Although I know there's no way JC could have been that so-called white. Using that artistic freedom, what message were European artists trying to send? Well, they were trying to What they actually did it. They weren't trying to do anything. They did it. That they would seek to paint images of people that look like them to brainwash and indoctrinate the world. And that's what the ignorance and the stupidity that the world is under right now. It says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So they've been able to cover the faces of the judges, the true Israelites, the Most High, the Messiah, and so-called white people. And they purposely did this. This was intentionally done to forward the false concept of so-called white supremacy. It says they were attempting to communicate the purity of Christ, as they got right here. So they showed him as so-called bright white. They showed him as an Edomite. God and the angels were so-called white in the top of the hierarchy in the terms of godliness. Yeah, they've done they whitewashed everybody. But this sent an additional message about those who were not so-called white. The less so-called white one is, the less pure. Color was being used to communicate good and evil, purity and sinfulness. That's why they labeled you black, because black is evil, wicked, demonic, death, sin, sickness. I went into the definition, and that's why they labeled themselves as white. White means something positive, purity, light, cleanliness, all those things. It says the Bible provides very little detail on Yahweh's appearance. That's a lie. Because when you go into the book of Revelations, chapter 1, 13 through 15, it gives you his description in the spiritual body. He was a so-called black man, and that means in the physical body, he was a so-called black man. So, just common sense. But scholars have pretty good sense of how people in the so-called Middle East, which is a new social construct as well. There's no such thing as the Middle East. And a lot of you Jakes say that too. Use these words. A lot of you learn this Jewish jargon and you implement that into your learning. Use in these Edomites terminology like the Middle East there's not no such thing as the Middle East. It's Asia. It's a sense of how people in the so-called Middle East looked during the first century. And they didn't have light skin. Of course not. They had dark skin, brown skin. It says the iconic images on the walls of ancient churches in Israel show not a JC. When I say JC, I'm talking about that Jiva's name, right? The iconic images on the walls of ancient churches in Israel show not a JC who was so-called black, like an African. And that's another new word that they created to label you as a pseudo nationality. African, goes back into a Latin word. They renamed it that name, and they renamed people. This is just how it go. It says no one who looks like a so-called white person with a tan, but one who was brown or bronze. To me, these paintings reflect the image of JC found in the book of Revelation, which describes him having feet like burnished bronze, refined as in a furnace. The earliest Christian artists painted JC was brown or bronze. Yeah, they was the correct skin tone. That's the JC I saw when I visited Israel. I'm going to do some research and go into these different churches right there and extract the artwork and bring it out in a lesson. It says the Bible provides, I already read that. Check this out. It says these artists could have painted JC as so-called as white, so-called. Why didn't they? Richard Stockton writes that given the lack of description of what they going off, right? So they changed the image. They gave you this so-called white man right here. Some of the best known examples from Leonardo da Vinci, Last Supper, which is two women in that picture, and Michelangelo's Last Judgment. You need to look into all this stuff because these are all Edomite painters. They came and pushed this propaganda, this religious indoctrination to you using artwork. It goes on, but run out of time. Hopefully this has been edifying. Call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rachat, Kodash. Shalom.